from Miami, FLA. Hitchhiked away across the USA. Plucked eyebrows along the way, then he shaved his legs, and honey, he was a she that said, hey, take a walk on the wild side. Candy came from out on the island. In the back room she's everybody's darling, but she lost her head. Even when she's given good head, they said, take a walk on the wild side. Why don't you take a walk on the wild side? And the girls go do 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 do. Never once gave it away. Everybody, well, they had to pay and pay and pay. A hustle here and a hustle there, but New York City is the place where they said, you take a walk on the wild side. Take a walk on the wild side. Jackie, she is just speeding away. Thought she's Jimmy Dean for a day. Then you know that she had to crash. Some Valium would have helped that bear. Says, take a walk on the wild side. You take a walk on the wild side, and the girls go do 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 do
Welcome to Musicians. I'm David Wild, and more importantly, this is Lou Reed. Lou, it's an honor to have you here. Thank you for playing that song. I think it's going to do very well for you. Tell me where you were at physically, psychologically, when you wrote that song.
Oh, I don't have a clue. I mean, the problem with stuff like that is who knew it meant anything? You know, I was writing a lot of things, and I was one of them. So it's, I don't know what I was doing, or thinking for that matter.
So generally, you have no sense when you're going to write a song that is going to connect in the kind of powerful way that does?
Oh, no, not a clue. I'm not that smart. I mean, if I was, you know, I'd say, here, you know. You would have heard Son of Wildside by now.
Can you tell me, first of all, where you got the title for it?
I got the title from Nelson Algren's book and the movie. And I had been commissioned, they were going to try to make a musical out of it. And that's why I was writing a song called Walk on the Wild Side. Then it fell through, and it was too good to throw away. And so I rewrote the lyrics.
How do you view that record now? When's the last time you put it on, for instance?
I don't listen to any of my records. I mean, I can't imagine why someone would listen to something they did. I mean, I listen to other people's records, but I certainly don't listen to mine, because I'm the one who did it. What do I want to listen to it for?
And what would you be listening to?
I mean, it's like looking at a picture of yourself. You know what you look like.
Talk about guitars. What's the first guitar you ever loved?
A Telecaster.
What about a Telecaster did you...
I would dream of a Telecaster. That's how I knew that was the guitar I ultimately had to play. I just customized them.
And talk a little bit about your guitar style. How would you characterize it?
Simple. Simple and really clear and melodic and strong.
Could you show us like another classic from Transformer, Vicious? Can you just sort of show us on the guitar like the riff, just to sort of how a simple riff can be so powerful?
I love riffs like that. I've got a bunch of them. It's like you just change the order of it and it becomes another one. It's really fun. And I used to think I was stupid because I could sit and play these combinations for hours and hours. There's something about the beat of your heart and these kind of chord combinations, which are really blues, and God forbid rockabilly and doo-wop, which put them all together. Here you are. But someone asked me once, they said, you know, as a guitar player, you know, how are you doing? I said, I can really do a D chord way better now. But I wasn't kidding. I mean, I really could. There was this difference that meant a lot to me. I'm not interested in becoming a jazz player and learning 100 new chords. I'm trying to learn the ones that I've got and really do them so clearly and powerfully that it'll really resonate within your body, heart, and soul.
If you would go to the guitar, if I ask you just to show us the riff, because to sort of show why there is that primal reaction to a song like Sweet Jane, Rock and Roll. I mean, these things are... Yeah, if you would just go to the guitar and just show us, you don't have to sing if you would like to. I'm sure the people would accept that. But if you would just show us, for instance, Vicious, why can't I get that out of my head still?
Oh, that's nice. So if I was doing Vicious as
Vicious, right? So, and if I was doing Sweet Jane, it'd be same chords. Standing on the corner, vicious. It's just backwards.
Can you do the same thing with Rock and Roll, since we got you there? And you can sing as much of that one as you like. We won't stop you.
Jenny said when she's just 5 years old, nothing happening at all. Every time she puts on the radio, there's nothing going on at all. I mean, for that matter, I mean, on the first Velvet album, that it's the same thing played just backwards. It's called I'm Waiting for the Man. It's the same. It's just another way to look. Like, to me, I'm sure, I mean, you really only need one chord. There's so many things you could do with one chord. It's like people who think they need more are really, I don't know, they must be geniuses. So there's I'm waiting for the man. Jenny said when she, see?
if you like that kind of thing.
We definitely like it.
I mean, for me, that's contemporary blues. You know, when people say, you know, what's folk music? Folk music, that rock and roll is folk music.
You played a little of Waiting for the Man. The Velvet Underground, obviously influential, weren't a huge commercial band in their day. You were coming around at the time of Flower Power with a little bit too much reality.
We were the anti-Pollen.
Were you hungry for commercial success in the Velvet Underground?
We were hungry to make great music. That's what we were hungry for. We loved playing. That's it. The other stuff would have been nice, but it didn't, you know, we didn't change what we did to try to achieve it.
Do you ever think that the reason...
I mean, look at the ending of Hamlet. Now, if I did that in a song, I mean, I'd be shot. I mean, look, he's going there, he's got a thing with the mother, you know, Ophelia dies, he stabs the uncle, everybody's dead at the end. What the f*** are you doing? And then somebody says, you're right about misery, it's so negative. I say, what a bunch, you know, come on.
Well, I have the good book with me. Tonight the good book is Pass Through Fire, the collected lyrics of Lou Reed. I wondered if you would read an example of where I think great rock meets great poetry. This one would be an early one from the Velvet Underground, All Tomorrow's Parties. Do you mind reading a little bit of that from us, for us?
Sure. A little bit?
Well, I'd like to hear the whole thing, but I'm not going to be greedy.
I can't because I have my contacts in.
Okay.
So I can't see it to read it.
Okay. Let me try this again.
What costume shall the poor girl wear at all tomorrow's parties? White silks and dresses from yesterday's gowns to all tomorrow's parties. And what will she do and where will she go when Mondays come around? Why she'll turn once more to Sunday's clown and cry behind the door.
On the Velvet Underground and Nico, obviously she sang those words. To what extent were you writing for her voice, and was that sort of like being a poet and having to write for a voice other than your own?
I was writing about Edie Sedgwick, and we gave it to Nico, but I hadn't. It's hard to. Nico's voice was so idiosyncratic and interesting that I hadn't thought about writing it specifically for her, but it was a great thing for her to sing. And what costume shall... It put a whole other thing to it.
This program is sponsored in part by Walt Disney World. Make the dream come true.
Journalism's most trusted name.
Talk about Berlin. What do you remember of what your intention was when you wanted to make Berlin? Because it's a record that's taken a very long time for other people to understand, it seems.
Berlin almost finished me. I mean, it's amazing. It was, by we, I mean me and Bob Ezrin, who produced it, was the idea to have the songs relate to one another. The Deadly Term concept album cover. It was kind of like the Kiss of Death concept album. That's it. You know, no one wanted to hear about that. We thought, what a great idea. It's a movie for the mind, and these things connect, and one thing builds on another and has an ending. This is really exciting. So that's what it was about, and it was kind of a bleak period for me. So the normal formula was boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl. So I said, aha, boy meets girl, boy gets girl, loses girl, and that's where it stopped. So I thought there was enough Moon and June songs out there.
The reviews for the record were they not kind, as I recall?
Like I said, it almost finished me. It was amazing how bad the reviews are. That's why I've never ever taken reviews seriously. I mean, I learned that from Warhol in the first place, but this was kind of amazing.
The song you're going to sing for us is The Kids.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about The Kids and if you remember at all the writing of it?
What was exciting for me was I had discovered this chord pattern. Every once in a while when I discover a chord pattern, I don't study other people. I love discovering it by myself. It's like, I mean, I know the wheel's been invented, but for me it's like, wow! And I like to keep that part of it. That's why I like to record things where we kind of just learned it the first time, and when we really hit it, we're hearing it, you're going to hear it pretty much like we heard it when we first got into it.
Well, now that we've talked about it, let's hear it. Let's hear The Kids.
Sure.
because they said she's not a good mother. They're taking her children away because of the things they said she had done. The black Air Force sergeant was not the first one. And all the drugs, she took everyone. They're taking her children away because they said she's not a good mother. They're taking her children away because they're taking her children away. They're taking her children away because they said she's not a good mother. They're taking her children away because of the things she did in the streets, in the alleys, in the bars. She couldn't be that miserable, rotten slut. She wouldn't turn anybody away. Oh, and I am the water boy. The real game's not over here, but my heart is overflowing every day. Oh, I'm just a quiet man, and I don't have much to say. Since she lost her daughters, it's her heart that fills with water, and me, I'm much happier that way. 'Cause they're taking her children away.
Lou, I've got your reading glasses now. So
Okay.
Things are going to get interesting. I wondered if you'd put on your glasses and read one of my favorite lyrics of all time, a poem called Women.
I love women. I think they're great. They're a solace to a world in a terrible state. They're a blessing to the eyes, a balm to the soul. What a nightmare to have no women in the world. I worked my way up to a joke. So, I used to look at women in the magazines. I know that it was sexist, but I was in my teens. And now? No, okay. I was very bitter. All my sex was on the sly. I couldn't keep my hands off women, and I won't till I die. A woman's love can lift you up, and women can inspire. I feel like buying flowers and hiring a celestial choir, a choir of castratis to serenade my love. Oh, this is one of Sagmeister's typos. They'd sing a little Bach for us, and then we'd make love.
Talk a little about, that's obviously on one level very simple, and it's probably also, you know, as profound as it gets. You know, how do you find the profound in the simple?
Oh, I mean, I'm not the person to ask that. I don't, I'm trying to be clear. That's clear about emotion. I want an emotion to come to you. I want to cause an emotion in the listener, that's all. And I'm doing it in a simple way that I find very, very attractive and always have
I remember when I moved to New York after college, I used to have to walk.
From where?
I went to Cornell. And
I played Cornell.
I think you played everywhere. So
in college, one of the ways I earned, my way through is playing bar bands again. And we would play, those various colleges, Sarah Lawrence, Cornell. But we were so bad that they changed our name every week.
When I graduated, I remember I walked past a welfare hotel on my way to my first job, which was at Esquire magazine, and I just always remember I turned the other way because there were always kids in these horrible places, and I just didn't want to see it. And then years later, I remember when you put out New York Record, there was a song on this album that I think you know which one I'm talking about, called Dirty Boulevard. And I remember thinking, like, that's a great artist. Not only did you look at it, you managed to make great art of it and make it in an odd way really uplifting. I wonder if you can talk about where that song came from for you.
I had done a benefit with Paul Simon for mobile doctor's trucks. And I went with Paul, and we went to he took me to one of these. We went, the doctor took us to some of these hotels. And it was just, awful. And that's why I wrote Dirty Boulevard.
Could you show us just a little of that song, please?
Pedro lives down at the Wilshire Hotel, looks out a window without glass. The walls are made of cardboard, newspapers on his feet, and the old man beats him because he's too tired to beg. He's got 9 brothers and sisters, they're brought up on their knees. Hard to run when a coat hanger hits you on the thighs. Pedro dreams of being older, killing the old man. Slim chance he's going to the boulevard. Get it out to the dirty boulevard. I'm going to the dirty boulevard. To the dirty boulevard, I'm going out.
Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about performance. When in all this gigging that you did early on, did you start to enjoy or excel in the craft of entertaining a crowd? As beyond just being the artist as a songwriter, when did you learn how to work a crowd?
That kind of came in through the back door. I mean, with the Velvets, we ran into a lot of opposition, so it was kind of them and us. There's them and here's us as war, constant war. Strange.
Maybe that's why people think of you as sort of the godfather of punk. Do you accept that title or run from it?
I don't have choices in these things. There's a couple of better reasons to call me that, but I don't even... When I got out on my own and then Rock Roll Animal went down, and I had, Bob had gotten me, what's his name's band?
Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper and Vinny. They were a great band, but I couldn't play with them. I couldn't play the way those guys played, which was great for them, but I could play with Velvet Underground. I could play with, a more idiosyncratic thing, but this kind of unit I couldn't. So I had a guitar then, and I said, I can't play with them. So that's when I had to relate to the audience. Because I wasn't playing with a band, I was singing with the band.
Sponsored in part by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers.
What kind of people finish something but are never quite done with it? I mean, aren't you done when you're finished? See, these people have an idea. But as soon as they're finished with it, they realize they're not finished. So they keep fiddling, trying to make it just a little bit better. Then they have another idea, and it's good too, but they can't leave that one alone either. Of course, more ideas pop up, and they can't keep their hands off any of them. You know, they might spend a month trying to tweak this little part here, or drive themselves crazy smoothing out that shape there, just to make every Volkswagen a little better. So, no matter what they finish, they're never really finished, ever. Maybe these people have some kind of weird DNA, these engineers and designers. Well, they sure are smart. Smart but kooky. I wonder what they're gonna think of next.
Edward Jones.
One quick question about one of your guardian angels in your career, Andy Warhol. There's a song on another one of my favorite records of yours, Songs for Drella, called Work. Can you talk a little bit about what Andy Warhol taught you as an artist?
I miss Andy very much. He was so incredibly talented and brilliant, and being around him, we could both be looking at the same thing, and what he saw and what he thought and what he thought you could do with it was such a great experience for me to experience what it's like to be around a genius looking at something and other ways of looking at something. As I was saying in Songs for Drella, he was always saying how lazy I was, which I, in retrospect, really thank him for, although at the time, it was not exactly what I wanted to hear from him. Like, something like, gee, that was really great, Lou, would have been nice. As opposed to, well, how many songs did you write? I said, 5. That's not half bad. But not for him. He'd say, well, then you're so lazy. Why don't you write 10? What's wrong with you? And I never forgot that.
He was, I guess, credited as a producer on some of the Velvet Underground, or at least the first one.
Yeah.
In what sense was he a producer? How did he contribute?
He was a producer because he was there, and because he was there, they didn't change anything.
The best kind of producer.
If he hadn't been there, they'd have been all over the place trying to clean it up or do this or do that. And before we went in, Andy had pulled me aside. He said, whatever you do, you know, keep those, keep the objectionable words in there. Don't let them clean this up. Don't let them smooth it out. Whatever you do, keep it the way it is. Don't let them change it. And he was there to make sure that didn't happen.
When he died and you responded with Songs for Drella, what was it like for you on a, you know, personal and artistic level to sit with John Cale and try to, you know, put something together that was a fitting response, you know, to his
well, Andy had received so much people making fun of him in every way, personally, his paintings, his movies. And when he died, I remember the newspaper saying, oh, it's a put on, maybe it's really put on, this and that. So when John and I got together, what we wanted to do, because we loved Andy and admired him so much, was do something positive, to let people hear a positive recitation and eulogy to Andy from people who actually knew him, as opposed to these other people who didn't and couldn't come up to his ankle.
You use the word positive, and I sort of flashed to a song of yours which has positive in the title. Can you remember which one I would be thinking of?
The Power of Positive Drinking.
Exactly,
Sure.
A great title. Andy gave you a title for another song, and I think he gave you maybe the whole first line. Can you remember which one?
apropos, I can't remember, apropos of what it was apropos of, he said, why don't you write a song called Vicious? I said, great. I mean, because I love being given an assignment. And the more specific, the better, because then I don't have to come up with something. It's just, oh, write a song about a chair. I can do that. Or write a song about a car. Well, I could do that. And he said, well, write a song about Vicious. I said, well, what kind? And he said, you know, vicious, I hit you with a flower. So I wrote it down, and that was that. Because he gave it to me, and all I had to do was finish it. But I mean, that was easy. The hard part, that's why Andy is a genius, the hard part was the first part, that first sentence. After that, anybody could finish it.
The working with John Cale on that, I don't know if it helped set the stage, but eventually there was what very few expected there would be, a Velvet Underground reunion. What was that like for you musically and personally to, you know, because it would been quite a break between meetings. What was that like for you?
There was nothing like playing with the Velvet Underground, and there never will be because of the personalities involved and the instrumentation. And I still think Maureen Tucker is one of the world's great drummers, and I wish she would be recognized for it. Her way of playing drums standing up. I mean, not a lot of, but some people do it these days, but Maureen did it and still does it and is an extraordinarily talented drummer. And everybody in the Velvet Underground I loved, because one of the reasons I'm so glad I did it is because Sterling died afterwards. And if I hadn't done the reunion, I wouldn't have gotten to play with Sterling. Again, nobody plays like Sterling. So it was something I think we all really looked forward to and gave our all.
I started using Daily Facial.
So easy to use, no wonder it's #1.
We're going to talk about your current project, Poetry. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yeah.
And that represents a sort of meeting of the minds between you and Edgar Allan Poe. What was the origin of that project?
The director, Bob Wilson, and I had done a show in Germany called Time Rocker. And after Time Rocker, Bob thought we should do another project, and he thought that we should do something about Edgar Allan Poe, and that I should write it. He said, you're made for Poe.
How do you see the connection? Because to me, you're both masters of...
We're both American.
Right, which some people don't even realize. You're both masters of romance and darkness and sensuality and a lot of other things. Were you a fan? Was he anyone who ever touched your life before working on this project?
I had really started to understand Poe a few years before that when I did a project with Hal Wilner at St. Anne's Church on Halloween when we were reading from Poe. And I read The Telltale Heart out loud, and acting it out made it clear to me about the psychology of the lead character, which I thought I'd understood, but when I was younger and I hadn't. It was a lot more complex than a Roger Corman movie. Also, his rhythm, when you're reading Poe, the rhythm is so much like music. He's a particularly rhythmic writer. And psychology, what he's interested in, which I think is very much something a contemporary audience would be attracted to, which is, I think all of us know what a compulsion is or an obsession, and I don't know anyone who hasn't experienced guilt.
I wonder if you will perform one of the songs from Poetry, Who Am I?
Sometimes I wonder, who am I? The world seeming to pass me by. A young man, now getting old. I have to wonder what the rest of life will hold. I hold a mirror to my face. There are some lines that I could trace to memories of loving you. A passion that breaks reason in two. I have to stop and think now. If reminiscences make you frown, one thinks of what one hoped to be, and then faces reality. I wonder who started all this. Was God in love and gave a kiss to someone who later betrayed? And godless love sent us away. Sometimes I wonder, who am I? Who made the trees, who made the sky, who made the storms, who made heartbreak? I wonder how much life I can take. I see at last a future self. Were you alive, I'd ask your help. But thinking puts me in a daze, and thinking never helped me anyway. You always were so negative. You never saw the positive. You always stand upon the edge and dream of what it must be to be dead. I know I like to dream a lot and think of other worlds that are not. I hate that I need air to breathe. I'd like to leave this body and be free. You'd like to float like a mystic child. You'd like to kiss an angel on the brow. You'd love to solve the mystery of life by cutting someone's throat or removing their heart. You'd like to see it beat. You'd like to hold your eyes, and though you know I'm dead, you'd like to hold my thighs. If it's wrong to think on this, to hold the dead past in your fist, why were we given memories? Let's lose our minds and be set free. Sometimes I wonder, who am I? The world seeming to pass me by. A younger man, now getting old. I have to wonder what the rest of life will hold. I wonder who started all this. Was God in love and gave a kiss to someone who later betrayed? And godless love sent us away to someone who later betrayed. To someone. Godless love sent us away. Fernando.
That was great. Can you explain a little bit how you and Poe worked together on this record? How did you crazy kids collaborate? In other words, what part is Poe? What part is
morphed through him. I got so deep into it with Poe, I was changing what I thought needed changing, and then of course it would set me off on a whole bunch of riffs or sentences or speeches I was, in writing in what I would call, hopefully, a Poe style. So there are little bits in there that don't exist in Poe.
The more Poe,
but hopefully it sounds like him.
The more Poe you sort of threw yourself into, did you just come up with the conclusion that he was a rock and roll animal in a way too?
I came up with the conclusion he was the master of language and psychology and incredible knowledge of so many things. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he, didn't he invent the detective story, science fiction story? Whoa, you could stop there. But then he wrote The Raven and The Pit and the Pendulum and The Telltale Heart. It goes on and on and on.
And I realized the connection last night when I was listening to the record that he wrote The Raven, Poe, and you wrote a record called The Ostrich very early in your career. Do you remember The Ostrich?
Very early. The Ostrich was because I'd read somewhere that ostrich feathers were in, so I wrote a dance called The Ostrich, and not nearly as complex as The Raven.
Do you remember, can you give us any of the lyrics, recite them as poetry?
Put your head down on the floor and step on it.
Now, you're not talking to me, you're actually reciting the lyrics.
Yeah, it scares me a little that part of my brain is occupied with remembering that.
How about yourself as a poet? When did you begin to feel an identity as a poet?
I don't really think of it that way. I think I play rock and roll, and I want to bring a certain sensibility to the lyrics, and it would be part of the goal to be able to have the lyrics be able to exist without the music.
So warm.
This is going to end up bad for you, John.
John Q. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, February 15.
Two last questions. What would you say music has brought to your life?
Life.
And what do you think your life has brought to music? And don't be humble.
Oh. The sensitivity of an eye for detail, maybe, if I'm lucky, of a decent novelist or playwright.
I know you like an assignment, so I'm going to give you an assignment. If you would end a perfect night with a perfect day.
Sure, I'd be glad to.
Thank you.
By the way, Fernando Saunders here. What a perfect day. Drink sangria in the park. Later, when it gets dark, we go home. What a perfect day. Feed the animals in the zoo. Then later, a movie too. And then home. Ah, it's such a perfect day. I'm glad I spent it with you. What a perfect day. Ah, you just keep me hanging on. You just keep me hanging on. perfect day. Problems all left alone. Weekend is on our own. It's such fun. What a perfect day. You made me forget myself. I thought that I was somebody else, someone good. It's such a perfect day. I'm glad to spend it with you. Such a perfect day. You just keep me hanging on. Keep me hanging on. You're going to reap just what you sow. You're gonna reap just what you sow. You're gonna reap just what you sow. You're going to reap just what you sow. What a perfect